What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Nate here from Out of the Basement, bringing you a brand new action figure review. Today, we are looking at the online exclusive General Grievous from Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Another Black Series anomaly that feels like it took forever to get this figure out and into our possessions, but just judging by the box and judging by what Justin has been telling me, this figure is a banger, so I can't wait to get him open and take a look myself. Of course, here is the box. It's a little bit wider than a normal Black Series box, but it's about the same thickness, and you can see right here he is D1, which I would assume stands for Deluxe 1, because he is technically a deluxe figure, but he is the first one that wasn't an exclusive to a certain retail store. However, he is an online exclusive. There is the bio right there. If you would like to read that, you can go ahead and pause it there. Again, we've got some nice artwork of General Grievous right there. That's hard to see because of my camera. And there you go, you can see right there in the corner as well. So let's go ahead and pop this guy open. We'll take a look at his accessories and then the figure itself. And as always, safety first. Okay, so in terms of accessories, he comes with one blaster here, which I believe this is the blaster that Obi-Wan uses to kill him in the movie. Looks pretty good. It is mostly just black plastic, but it does look like it has some sort of sheen over the actual gun. There's a little bit of sparkle to it that you can kind of see there on camera, but you know, it's a nice inclusion, but in all reality, who's going to be posing him with that blaster? He does come with 4 lightsabers as well. So we'll take a look at the first lightsaber here, and you can see that Hasbro is already back on their bullshit with not including the super blue lightsaber. It's definitely a lot lighter and sort of reminiscent of older Black Series figures where the blue is not really as blue as you'd like it to be. But I will say it does have a nice little thickness to it, so I appreciate that. But of course it is warped straight out of the plastic. The hilt itself is painted extremely well. Nice bits of gold and black paint, and the silver as well, and a little red dot there. Pretty clean for the most part. Gets a little sloppy down there at the end of the hilt, but nothing too outrageous given how small it is. And of course they detach like always. Here's the other blue lightsaber again, which is the same thing, different hilt but the same blade, and this hilt also looks pretty good. The black paint is a little bit sloppy on this, but the red does look very nice, pretty clean for how small it is. And then he has 2 green lightsabers as well. Again, here's another hilt, pretty much the same amount of quality. I think the green looks fine. The green lightsaber blade looks pretty good. It's just the blue I feel like is a little too light. And then the final green lightsaber, which again looks pretty good. This one is pretty warped, but the green lightsabers look good. The blue lightsabers, I wish they were a little bit more blue. They were on a roll and then they seem to have stopped. And then finally, this, I mean, I kind of count this as an accessory, but it is his cloth cape, which does actually have storage right here sewn into the cape. So if you wanted to pop the lightsaber hilts out and stick them down in there like the movie, they fit in there just fine. Plenty of room for all 4 of them. And the cape does look also really good. It's a nice red and gray soft fabric material. The sewing looks pretty clean on it. There's not a lot of, I have a little frayed end right there, but it's not nearly as bad as some of the other Black Series capes have been in the past. And of course you can see that it is sewn together like so. I kind of wish this was a little Velcro piece maybe, instead of it actually being sewn together, just because, you know, this has more potential to rip in the future if you're not careful, and then you're gonna have to sew it back, and a Velcro piece I feel like would have saved a little bit of damage. But yeah, I think the cape actually turned out really nice, and I think it does look pretty good on the figure, regardless if the promo pictures looked much better with the cape. I think what they ended up having to do is still fine. So let's take a look at General Grievous. All right, and here is General Grievous out of the package. I just got sick of trying to pose him, so I'm holding him right now with my one hand. Having a really hard time trying to get this guy to stand. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if everyone's Grievous is like this, or maybe mine is potentially messed up. I can show you the feet in a little bit, and then I'll let you guys judge. Maybe you could help me out in figuring out what exactly is wrong, but I just cannot for the life of me get this guy to stand up. So let's take a close look at the figure. Of course, the cape is removable, and like we saw in the promo pics for the Black Series figure, the cape was almost like tucked in right around here, like tucked in underneath there, and I don't really think you can emulate that look. It doesn't really seem like it wants to go down that far, but I still think the cape looks fine for what it needs to. So we'll go ahead and take that off. It just slips right off over his head. And here's what I'm talking about with the feet. So here's his feet, completely normal for me. I feel like that is not normal, that this foot is so bent upward. Because the articulation is there like that, and this one does the exact same thing, but this one actually is down a lot further than this foot. So I'm not quite sure. It's like the only way I can pose him is sort of like this, but he doesn't really want to stand either, which is really frustrating because he also doesn't have peg holes at the bottom of his feet, so I can't even put a stand on him if I wanted to. Let me know if your Grievous is like that in the comments, and let me know what you did to sort of remedy that. But other than that, other than him not being able to stand up, I really think we've got a secret, and not a secret. It's not really a secret, but a banger on our hands in terms of paint apps, articulation, and details. Grievous looks great. So let's go ahead and take a close look here. You can see right off the bat, it is the more battle damaged version of Grievous, where he's got dirt and the whatnot all throughout his body. He also has armor dings as well that you can see right there. The nice silver paint is very reflective, but dirt and grime are all over the figure, which is a nice little bit of added detail. As it is a deluxe figure, I'd hope we'd get some good details out of it. So you can see right here, the paint apps are very clean for the most part on his head. The black stripes right there above his eyes are really clean. Not a whole lot going on there. And you can see his eyes as well are painted very clean. You can see like the red gooey stuff that is underneath the mask, along with the eyes actually are looking at you pretty straight. They're not crooked. So that is very good. The silver paint that represents like his mouth area is also very clean and looks good as well. Again, there's more dirt and grit and grime throughout the figure that all looks pretty impressive. Maybe we could have got a little bit more down at the bottom here in his abdomen. Just looks a little plain, a little plasticky looking, if I'm being totally honest. But the silver paint and the little bit more of dirt that goes down throughout the figure does look very well. And on the back of the figure, there are 0 paint apps at all. And you can kind of see like cracks and dings and stuff that probably could be painted in, but they are not. And that's a little disappointing considering he is supposed to be a deluxe figure, but most of the time the back of the figures aren't painted anyway. His arms do actually have separate joints here at the shoulder. You can see that they do move independently, which is really nice, and they do snap together, and we'll go over that in a little bit here. So as far as details go, I think he looks great. Obviously, you know, figure could be better, but for what we're paying and for what it is, it's not bad at all. I also really like the wiring detail in his neck there. I think that looks really good. So in terms of articulation, you've got 4 arms that can move independently from each other, and they have a pretty nice range of motion. Single jointed elbows on all of them, which give you more than enough range to pose him however you would like. His hands unfortunately do not move. They do not have wrist pegs, but they are so tiny I can't imagine they'd actually be able to get a joint in there without it looking completely ridiculous. So I understand why they probably had to skip out on that, but it does make him holding his lightsabers a little ridiculous. And you can see right in here the arm pegs in right there, and then it also pegs in again sort of on the forearm, and then pegs again once more at the actual hand to form his one solid arm here that you kind of have to work just a little bit to get it to move kind of evenly and not stress either of these joints. And it's the same thing on the other side. It just clips in at the bicep, the forearm, and the hands as well. Shoulder movement is awesome. You've got this shoulder joint right here along with that, and the plastic is nice and soft, so you're not gonna have to worry about him getting messed up. And the head is also on a ball joint, which gives you tons of movement. The neck moves down really far and moves back just a little bit. And of course the neck or the head is nice as well. The chest, you've got a rotation here and a little bit of a crunch. It's not too significant, but it is there. And then nothing on the lower side. The hips, his feet or his legs can't kick out very far, but similar to most robots in the Black Series, you can see that he's got pretty awesome range going forward and pretty awesome range going back as well, except for looks like this leg. Yeah, you just kind of got to work it there. You can see Grievous' butt right there. He's got cheeks, man. He's got cheeks. Double jointed knees, which look really strange, but they do work. You can get a forward motion out of the front one and a little bit, there we go. You can see that it folds completely, and that looks really great. Really happy with that as well. And then down to the feet here, like I showed earlier, you can probably hit that crawling pose where he sort of scuttles around like a bug, but you can see there that the feet do move pretty far, but this one is just kind of in that really awkward pose, and they do have a twist to them, and it doesn't feel like there is any ankle pivot to be had on the ankles, which could also be what's really hindering the posability of the legs. Or if mine is just defective, it could totally be defective. I'm not 100% sure on that. See, he wants to stand like that. Maybe it's just when the cape gets into the equation, it weighs him down a little bit too much. But yeah, overall, the articulation is pretty awesome. I can see him being able to hit some really great poses, and I have been seeing that on Instagram and all that sort of stuff. People posing him around, having a good time with him, so that is really awesome. So let's compare him to a couple of Black Series figures so you can kind of get an idea of his height, even though his one leg is messed up, so it's going to be kind of hard for him to be standing straight. But, you know, we're going to try our best here. I'll probably have to hold him up. And so here we go. Here is a battle droid right here. You can see the height between them. And the battle droid, again, I feel like is pretty big, especially when compared to Grievous. I feel like Grievous is supposed to be decently tall, but the battle droid is kind of large. And Padme right here. And I feel like this is a good scale. The humans look pretty good. Grievous being so tall, I think that's exactly how it's supposed to be. And then finally, because I don't have Obi-Wan or Anakin from episode 3, we're just gonna use Qui-Gon. And you can see that they are kind of the same height, which is a little concerning. I feel like Grievous should be just a smidge taller, maybe like that. Like the head should line up with the shoulder, at least in my mind. But Grievous is crouched for a lot of the film and in the Clone Wars in general, but standing straight up, I just feel like he should be a little bit taller. So final thoughts on the figure. I think it is, of course, a necessary and pretty good addition into the Black Series. I'm so happy we finally got him to be a part of the collection. Of course, the issues with his foot is a little weird to me. I don't know if everyone's like that. Again, please let me know in the comments if yours is just as annoying to pose, but I finally got him in a sort of pose with the cape on, but as you can see, his legs are a little weird right there. The details are great. The battle damaged, dirty look of the figure is awesome. The details are appreciated. I wish we had a little bit more paint apps given the price of the figure, and I kind of put these battle droids here for an example of they are $20 figures that have about the same amount of paint apps but are significantly less So it is a little disappointing that they didn't go a little bit extra, especially when you compare Grievous to some of the other deluxe figures. He definitely falls a little short in my opinion, but again, happy to have him. Glad he's in the Black Series. We needed him, and now is the perfect time to get him. With all of the advancements that Hasbro has made for the Black Series, I feel like this is probably as good as we can get for now. And so at the end of the day, I recommend the figure, of course. I'm sure most people, Star Wars fans, Black Series collectors, have already picked this figure up because it's a no-brainer. But in case you haven't, he is still widely available at most online toy retailers. So that is my review. What did you think of the figure? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. How does he compare to the model kit? That is something that I do not have. That I was tempted to buy back in the day, but as soon as they announced that Grievous was getting his own figure, I kind of said, I'll just wait on that and skip over the model kit. So how does he compare to that? Let me know in the comments down below. Of course, if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new. We're always reviewing action figures, talking about action figures, doing movie reviews and talking about Blu-rays, all that good nerdy nonsense that you love to hear about on the internet. Of course, I'm Nate. You've been watching Out of the Basement, and I will see you guys next time. Cannot get him to fucking stand up. Jeez, fuck!